Hi guys, welcome to this tutorial. So we'll be needing a ready covered slipper. We also be needing 3 mm of beads, rubber beads or pearl beads, our pair of scissors, our needle for sewing, then 0.4 of the fishing line. So let's get straight to this. I'm just going to cut any length of the fishing line that I'll be comfortable working with. Okay, so let's get started. So I'll begin by picking 4 of the beads. 4 of the beads. Alright, so now after picking 4 of them, this is it. So 4 of the beads. After picking 4 of them, use the under end of your fishing line to cross, like what I'm doing, to cross that of the bead like this. Use it to pass through the last bead that was picked and pull it towards the center of the fishing line. Okay, so this is how it should look like after doing so. Okay, so after doing this, we are going to continue by picking a bead for each side of the fishing line. You pick one bead for one side and another for the other side. After doing that, you pick additional bead and cross it with both sides of your fishing line. Okay, so after that, you repeat the step you just did by picking a bead for one side of the fishing line, and then you pick another bead for the other side of the fishing line. Then you continue to pick additional bead, then you cross it with both sides of your fishing line. Okay, so this is exactly the step that you'll be following till you reach your desired length. You pick one for each side, then you pick additional one and cross it with both sides of your fishing line. So exactly what I'm doing. I pick one bead for one side, then I use the other side to also pick a bead. Then I'll go ahead and pick additional bead like this. I'll go ahead and pick additional bead and cross it with both sides of my fishing line. So like I said, you repeat this until your desired length. So I wanted the size of my bead to be 14, but then counting, I have 13 of them now. I have 13 beads at the side. So what I'll be doing right now is to add one step to it by picking a bead for one side of the fishing line. Then I'll pick another bead for the other side of the fishing line. Then I'll go ahead and pick additional bead, then I'll cross it with both sides of my fishing line. Alright, so now that I have my 14th bead, or I have my desired length, which is having 14 of the beads on the side, we're going to be turning. So to be able to turn, I'll use the direction or one side of my fishing line to pick 2 beads. One side of the fishing line, as you've seen, I'll use it to pick 2 beads. Then I'll go ahead and pick additional bead or the third bead then cross it with both sides of the fishing line. Remember I said use only one side to pick 2 beads. You don't have to pick a bead for the other side. Just pick additional bead, then you cross it with both sides of fishing line. So as you can see, the direction of our fishing line has changed. So we are forming a V shape of the design, a V shape. That is what you're going to be using on the sandal. So we continue the steps by picking a bead for one side of the fishing line. Then you pick another for the other side of the fishing line. Then you pick additional bead and cross it with both sides of the fishing line, just as what we were doing earlier. Okay, so as you can see, this is how it's going to look like. So are you going to be repeating the steps by you pick a bead for one side of the fishing line, you pick another bead for the other side of the fishing line, then you go ahead and pick additional bead, and then you cross it with both sides of your fishing line. Or you repeat this until you have your desired length, or you have the same length as of the earlier one. So that's how I'm showing you. You're forming a V shape like this. Okay, so let's continue till we achieve our desired length. Okay, so now after reaching your desired length, that is having 14 of the side beads, we are going to be turning. You are going to be turning like we did earlier on. So you use the other side to pick 2 of the beads. You use this side of your fishing line to pick 2 of the beads. You are turning this way. After picking 2 of the beads, you pick additional bead and cross it with both sides of your fishing line. Okay, so your direction of the fishing line will change immediately you cross it. So this is how it has turned to. So you are going to turn again. You are going to turn again to be able to add another or additional mat to the design. So we are going to use the same side that you used in picking that of the beads to pick another 2 beads. The same side of the fishing line that we used to turn inward, we are going to use it to pick 2 beads and pick additional bead and cross it with both sides of the fishing line, just as we did. So you realize the direction of the fishing line will change again. So normally, this is how we normally change. So you see that your fishing line has changed direction inward like this. So now the fishing line that is closer to the design is what we are going to be using to be passing through the sides of the beads on the design. So I use the other side of the fishing line to pick a bead like this. Okay, so after that, I will use that of the fishing line, which is closer to the design, to pass through the immediate side bead. The immediate side bead on the design like this. So instead of picking a bead for each side of fishing line, we use the other side closer to the design to be passing through the sides of the bead, just as I've done right now. I'll pass my fishing line, which is closer to the sides of the design, to pass through the immediate side bead like I've done. Then I will pick additional bead and then I'll cross it with both sides of my fishing line. Exactly so till the end. Okay, so I'll go ahead and repeat the step by picking a bead for the other side of the fishing line. Then I'll go ahead and use the side of the fishing line closer to the design to pass through the next immediate side bead. The next immediate side bead, as you can see. I'll use the other fishing line to pass through the next immediate side bead like this. Afterwards, I'm going to go ahead and pick additional bead. So this is how it looks like. After that, I'll pick additional bead, then cross it with both sides of my fishing line. So exactly so until the center of the design. Okay, so I continue by picking a bead for the side of the bead. Then I'll use the one closer to the design to pass through the next immediate side bead. This. So after that, I'll pick additional bead. I'll pick additional bead and cross it with both sides of my fishing line. Alright guys, so this is exactly how you're going to be doing till you reach the center of the design. So repeat what you'll be doing by passing your fishing line through the immediate side bead. Then you use the other side to pick a bead. Then you pick additional bead. Then you cross it with both sides of your fishing line. You repeat this step until you reach the middle of the design. So guys, I just reached the middle of it, so it was left with just one but one. So I just repeated the step, which is picking a bead for the other side of the fishing line. Then I pass it through the immediate side bead. Then I picked additional bead and cross it with both sides of the fishing line, as you can see. So now that that has been achieved, we are at the middle of the design. So what we're going to do is you use the fishing line closer to the design to pass through the first immediate bead, which is the center bead of the design. So after that, you go ahead and use the other side of your fishing line to pick a bead. Use the other side of your fishing line to pick a bead. Then you pick additional bead and then you cross it with both sides of your fishing line. So exactly as we were doing initially, you repeat the step by passing your fishing line through the immediate side bead. Then you use the other side to also pick a bead. After that, you pick additional bead and then you cross it with both sides of your fishing line. So you go ahead and repeat the step by passing your fishing line through the immediate side bead. Then you use the other side to pick a bead. Then you pick additional bead. Then you cross it with both sides of your fishing line. So that's all about it until you reach the end. Then you tie it up. I hope you get it up to this point. If you are having any challenge at any of the steps, just drop a comment and let me help you out. Okay, so after reaching the end, what we are going to be doing is you pass one of the fishing lines through the holes in the beads, you create a loop, then you pull out the fishing line to make a knot. You repeat this like 3 times by passing your fishing line through the holes in the design. You create a loop, then you pull out your fishing line to make a knot. So that's basically it. After which you cut off the excess of the fishing line. So this your design, this is going to be on top of it. Thank you guys for watching. So to this point, if you don't understand anything, just drop a comment and let me help you out. So we are going to be sewing this on the slipper, which already has setting bias being covered with it. If you haven't watched a video on how to cover your slipper with a setting bias, please do watch it. The link will be in the description box below. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I cut a fishing line, but it's one side longer than the other, and I pass it through the very end of my slipper or the setting bias on the slipper for like 3 times repeatedly on the same place just to secure it. So after that, I'm going to be tying it up to make it more secure before I cut off the excess. Okay, so that's done. So I'll just place the design on the slipper. I'm going to place the design on the slipper like this. Then I'll just go ahead and pass my needle through the middle bead, 2 of them, the first and second middle bead. I'll pull the needle, then I will pass my needle through the immediate hole on the middle part of the design. Then I will make sure to pass my needle through the satin bias on the slipper. Then I will come up again like this. Then continue to pass my needle through the next 2 beads in the middle. The next 2 beads in the middle of the design. Then go down again and pass my needle through the satin bias on the slipper. After that, I will come up again through the same hole. I'll come up again through the same hole, and then I will continue with the process by passing my needle through the first and second nest beads on the design. So I'll just basically be passing my needle through the middle of the beads and then go down to pass my needle through the satin bias on the slipper to secure the design on the slipper. So guys, watch it and you get me better. So guys, after stitching up to the end, you just pass your fishing line through the satin bias for like 3 times to make it secured and satin bias, just as we started with it. And then you just pass through some of the beads just to make it more firm and secured before you cut off the excess of your fishing line. So this brings us to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Subscribe. Bye.